Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.
All right, Talk and Power podcast, episode 112. We're scooting right along. I'm joined by Todd Brinkworth, our co-host. We've got a special guest in the studio with us for this podcast, Phil Morley. Phil, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on board. I know you're the director or...
Series coordinator.
Yep, for the WA Speed Event Series. We'll get stuck into that a bit shortly, but yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Jeez, I've been around motorsport in WA since I was about 16, 17. Started out in All Fours and Rotaries car club. That's where I met Todd.
That's right, I forgot.
So that's going back to 97, 98.
A long time ago.
Wow.
So that's where we all got started and where we met and where we played around with road cars and things like that, and then basically just progressed from there. Played with the first car was a GTI Suzuki Swift, then progressed to S14, 200SX, WRXs, all the rest of it, and then realised that road cars are limiting. Licenses and stuff are necessary for work, and then started playing with escorts and gravel rallies and things like that, and just progressed into then tarmac motorsport.
Yeah, okay. That was some time ago when I remember. Look, I wasn't in that scene. I wasn't hanging out in that scene, but that's quite a few years ago. Tell us a bit about those years, actually. Even hanging out with this guy Todd.
That's what I've partly forgotten. There you go. I remember going like out Mount Omnia hill climb and stuff like that back in the day.
Yeah, the first things we used to do were like I remember we used to meet at the Cam's club rooms in Jundana when there was probably 15, 20 of us in the car club, and it was your normal car club cruises on a Thursday night kind of thing, and that's where they were.
Yeah. And
then the club grew to the point where it had to move to Bayswater, and then they started doing a lot of their own events, Barbagallo, Mount Omni. They still did the cruises and the, what they used to call them, like the nav rallies where you had like a tulip map and had to go out and find random things in strange country towns and then meet up at a set meet point at a certain time.
Yeah.
And that's where it was, and that's, like I said, that's Todd, Denver, Franz, all those guys. That's where we all came from.
And awesome. You were on some of the running the engine cruises, weren't you? When we used to drive to Bunbury back to run motors in, and that's when the freeway stopped at the 14th set of traffic lights at Armidale Road almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you'd get off and you'd go down Rockingham Road and you'd weave through. Anyway,
come through the back of Johnson Road and pop out near CSBP there, and
we go down there and run motors in. If people had rebuilt motors, run the motor back in. Nice little drive back then. Took us about 5 hours.
I remember that's how you used to get to Ravenswood as well.
Yeah.
You have to get to the end of the freeway, then turn right. Yeah, it was Johnson Road, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, but that's right. It was that, and that little servo was there, the little shell.
That's actually still there.
Yeah, okay.
I do a lot of work down there now, so
okay.
It's a big place now, but still the same shell service station on the corner of Johnson Road.
Yeah. So from there, how did you progress into motorsport?
So Dad got his first race car as such. So he got a Westfield Clubman, probably 96, 97 when I was like late teens. And he just, same thing, he just started doing the odd sprint here and there and progressed and went through multiple motors for AGEs and things like that. And that car rebuilt, then the car got stripped multiple times. It went into the wall at Wanneroo, and he's done all sorts with that. And then he just basically, the car progressed to the point where it was, and the events progressed to the point where they were super competitive, and then the Speed Event Series started. 21 years now, so
wow.
Yeah.
So 2000 the Speed Event Series started,
and
he's one of the, I think it's about 3 or 4 registered competitors now who have done every year, and he's one of them. And so that Westfield's been around a very long time. It's still in the hands of another competitor now, undergoing a full rebuild with some trick engine and gearbox and stuff going in that. So that'll be good to see that come back out. But yeah, so Dad did Westfield for probably 7 or 8 years.
Yep.
And same thing, got to the point where he wasn't any competitive. He could go as high as he could in that, but couldn't get into the top 2 or 3. So he's then he moved into open wheelers, bike engine, single seat, Habussor powered, 350 kilos, 180 horsepower, wings and slicks kind of car.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he's done that, then he was like, well, you want to drive the Westfield that's sitting there in the shed. So that's when I started in the Speed Event Series as a competitor.
Yep.
But I'd been involved, obviously, crewing for him and things like that. So I've been in there since 2000.
For those listeners listening at home, I know what a Westfield is. We all know what a Westfield is, but for a lot of people won't know what they are. So I know it's probably kind of a hard car to explain, but
so it's a knockoff of a Lotus 7 Clubman.
Yeah.
So Colin Chapman built them in 1960 something with a 1500 crossflow. Make them as light as possible as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Little clamshell guards, and go quick by being light.
Now they do meet an ADR. You can license them on the road. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of this car, is that you can have it as I guess you wouldn't have it as a daily driver, but I used to work with a gentleman who had one, and he used to bring it to work nearly every day.
Who was that?
PJ Singh is his name. His brother-in-law's with Rolly, the guy that does
Rolly Waters.
Yes, it's his
race
brother.
tune fame.
Yeah,
Well, there you
yes.
go.
It's his brother-in-law.
Just trying to think what car that would be.
This is a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I said,
now.
yeah, there's
this is the mid-90s
Yeah.
we're talking here.
Yeah, so it's probably one of Rolly's ex-race cars, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
One of
his
the white-
brother-in-law. So
one of the white race tune cars.
It was white, yes.
Yeah, it would have been one of the
Yeah.
ex-white race tune
Yeah.
cars that... Same thing, Rolly had plates on most of them. He'd come up and race them. He was in the series in his Escort, but he's also done events in Clubmans as well.
But a fun car, aren't they?
Oh, dude.
For those playing at home, I was about to say, I remember going to Pit Stop Bookshop back in the day when they were in Perth. You could buy a book. It was based in the UK, but the idea was you go pick up a junker Escort, right, and then they give you instructions on what bits you need from the Escort.
It was called How to Build a Race Car for 250 quid.
Yep, there you go. Thank you, Phil. Yep.
And there's actually a club in WA, the Sports Car Builders Club of WA. They meet at the Light Car Club's room in Bayswater as well, where all fours used to meet all these years ago. And that's the premise of that club, is about people building their own home-built sports cars. They talk them through getting ADR compliance, getting them beam and torsion tested, getting them licensed. There's guys in there who've built one which is running on a Gemini diesel engine.
Wow.
And then it's all the way through. One of the clubmans that's been super competitive in WA over the last couple of years has recently been sold. But that had a 260 horsepower Duratec, sequential box. It was just a monster of a car.
I remember the car. It was something to watch. So,
and as I said, you can have them running a Gemini diesel, or you can have them running 300 horsepower sequentials and slicks and all the rest of it. So
yeah, and that's really is the core of grassroots motorsport, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
an entry level. There's one down the road from me actually, on where I live, believe it or not. And he tinkers away with it every now and then, and it's really great to see that car come into life, I guess you would say. And there's not too many of them. I don't see too many anymore. I used to see many years ago, but I think I don't know if people are too scared to drive them now.
There are plenty around. I live up in the hills, and I'd see on the weekend 6 or 7 different cars because that's what they are. They're great for just doing the hill drive, Mundaring Weir Road. You can do it at a brisk speed, not getting yourself into trouble.
yeah.
Enjoy, and people are scared of things like trucks and stuff running you over because you're like a motorbike. You're invisible.
Yeah.
So that's why people don't drive them on the road. Basically.
No, fair enough. No, I understand that.
Yeah, but so you went into the open wheelers. Now I remember the open wheelers that your dad and you had.
Mm-hmm.
They were something else to behold. I remember watching them at Busselton of all places, and
Through the hay bales and the
you
concrete
guys were
walls
just tearing it up. Would be the way to put it. I remember just the noise and everything. So, what was the open wheelers you guys sort of ran?
They're a company out of the UK called OMS, Owens Motorsport. Steve Owens, the guy, he's ex F1 engineer who basically retired from F1 and wanted to build his own single seat hill climb cars. Like if you look at the British hill climbs championships, it's all single seat hill climb cars. It's and they're all F1 technology. Even one of the guys here, Malcolm Oisler, he's ex-Jaguar, ex-Red Bull. He's won the Australian hill climb titles in the last 5 or 6 years now in his car, which it started as no MS, and then he just threw all his information at it. And that's the same. It's so the first one was a steel frame car, a bit like a Clubman, so steel tube frame chassis, and that had a 1300cc Habussor motor in it. But yeah, that was 330 odd kilos, 10-inch wide slicks, and wings, basically.
Okay.
That's how you make them work. You get them light and a bit of aero on them, and go from there. And Dad's current cars, again, it's another OMS, but it's full carbon tub, carbon everything. That's a 1400 Hayabusa with a supercharger, and that's 350 odd horsepower.
Wow. How do you go about finding Hayabusa engines? Because, you talk to these guys building these cars, and it just every second one has a Hayabusa engine. Like, where do we... There's an abundance of them in Western Australia? Or?
We've got a good relationship with the local motorbike wrecker.
Yep. Okay.
So they're a bike that a lot of people throw down the road, just because they are so big and so powerful. And they, once they've had an accident, they're usually unsalvageable. And because we've had so many broken ones over the years, we can basically get one that's rode down the road and worn through all the covers. We've got enough. We've got all the covers at home where we can just take the broken covers off and put new covers on. And so we can salvage stuff like that. But yeah, the Hayabusas are easy enough to get hold of.
Okay, all right. I would have thought that'd be difficult now. But
no, like I said, my personal car's got a Hayabusa in it. Dad's got 2 different cars with Hayabusas in it. And there's, I know, probably 4 or 5 others being built in WA, all running Hayabusas as well. So, and they're that bang for buck. They're just big bore bike engine. They make torque where the thousands don't, because the thousands you need the revs. And that's what all your F1000s that race at Barbagallo they run the Suzuki 1000cc superbike engines in there.
Do you modify the booster motors at all, or not really needed once you're in a car that weighs not much? And
the only major thing you've got to do so you don't destroy them is basically modify the sump a little bit just to create a bit of capacity, and then you put a baffle in it. Because it's now a stationary motor, the oil does now slosh around. Whereas obviously when it's in a bike, when a bike's leaning, the oils, with the centrifugal force, the oil's actually staying around the pickups because the bikes are doing that. So you don't have the same slosh effect, whereas we've got a stationary engine, so the oil is just going to go to one side, and that's just a baffle plate and extend the sump a little bit. And they will live happily like that without dying. And then it's a case of modify your hearts to content. And
off you go.
Spend however deep your pockets are is how much horsepower you got.
Fair enough. So, yeah, we're actually looking at, we'll link it up, we're looking at the Speed Event Series WA website, and there is
that's a West
for sale, which...
Oh, sorry, Williams sports cars.
Again, just have a look. So we'll link it on the Talk and Power website, and we'll discuss more about the website in a minute, the Speed Event Series WA website or Facebook page. But
that is a magnificent car, I must say. Sorry to cut you off there, Todd, but that is for that sort of money.
Yeah,
that is an awesome bit of kit. Look at that.
And that's an Australian built car as well. It's obviously been copied off multiple cars to make what they've got. They've obviously seen things they like on all of them. But so the guy that makes them's in Queensland. There's 6 or 7 of them complete, but he's an ex-partner in another company which were doing a very similar style car, and that was the one that the West has copied was originally copied from a very, very early Radical. So they're all that same lineage of kind of car. Single seat sports car. Like I said, it's huge in Europe. It's getting a bit more traction here now with the Radicals and the way Rise are running their Radical series here now. So you'll see a lot more of these style cars competing in WA in the next couple of years, I think.
Yeah, they were pretty big in Europe when I was there. Actually, 10 years ago now. But there was every second man had either a BMW as his daily and then a Radical to take to the track. And it was like, okay. And they would tow the reticle behind the BMW half the time.
Yeah, and that's what they are. They're like, you can do that with them because they are such a light car, light trailer, and they're arrive and drive. A radical is a true arrive and drive car. You roll up and it'll go forever.
Yeah,
and they're made to do massive kilometres. So service intervals are, I think on the 1500 service interval, something like 100 hours on a rebuild for an engine. But you think how many laps you can do in 100 hours of full noise driving, and that's the engine's rated to go for that, and that's 220 horsepower.
Yeah, okay, all right. Really exciting, and that is a magnificent car, I must say. For $30,000, you cannot build, you can't even build half of it for that sort of money.
There'd be $10,000 worth of shocks in that.
Yeah, that's right.
With it all being inboard nitrons and
No, beautiful car. Hey, we'll take a short break here, and we'll be back with more from Phil Morley right after the break. Okay, episode 112 of the Talk and Power podcast, and we got Phil Morley in the studio and Todd Brinkworth, our co-host. So, you've told us a little bit about your background in motorsport, and obviously coming from that sort of sports car and open wheeler background. Tell us how you got involved then in the speed event series.
It was just through basically Dad being a competitor, so I started there as helping Dad out and getting to know everyone around the pits and things like that, and then same thing, so I became a competitor probably 6 or 7 years after Dad started. Competed quite successfully in his clubman, a couple of seconds in the series a couple of times and things like that. And then obviously again Dad stepped up to his next open wheeler, so I jumped into his old car, same thing, just following him around doing that. And then we got the next car, which was my car, which was out of Japan. It's a Nismo Saurus Junior. Same, that's a Hayabusa powered car now. It originally came as a 1 litre micro engine from Japan. It's a 1-make series in Japan. And drove that for a couple of years, and then normal things, life got in the way, and house and work and all the rest of it. So I'd had quite a few years off competing, still been involved, same thing, crewing for Dad, helping out where I could. And then the series started to struggle a little bit a couple of years ago. A lot of people getting disenfranchised with it, and there's a lot of politics going on. And then there's a few of us got together late last year and went, if we don't do something, we're going to lose it. So a few of us put our hands up to say, all right, well, we'll take over and run it. We took that over quite late last year, early this year, so we didn't get a lot of things in place that we want to do. We're still trying to regain ground from what we had last year. We've already got plans in for next year to try and make it a bit more classing wise and things like that, a little bit more even and favourable for other people. Yep. And so that's where we are now.
So I guess actually, Todd, you know more about the series than I do. So maybe you.
I mean, some of the standout events are you always do the Bustleton round. Well,
that's that was a hard one to swallow. That was.
Okay. Well, why?
So that's an ARC thing.
Yeah.
So ARC used to fund that. The Australian Rally Chapter used to fund that event for the Friday night special stage when the ARC was coming. Obviously, COVID stopped that happening last year. This year, ARC decided not to come to WA at all, and I've been told that the organisers have now sold all the barriers, and that event's never going to run again. So,
well, there you go.
So that's a big shame, that one. That was the marquee event of the year. We used to do a demo on the Friday night where you get 10 cars out there going around, and most of us are quicker than the rally cars anyway, including the top guys, the Bateses and stuff as well. And then we'd have a full day out there Saturday by ourselves, going between the hay bales and concrete walls and flat out like that. So
I remember it was worth the trip down there to watch you guys all play around, and I remember Franz going down there multiple times in multiple different cars.
I said it. Franz is, I think the highest he ever finished was second outright when he had his Z.
Yeah.
his twin turbo Z. So
Which is pretty funny.
Again, that's going back a long way into the very early parts of the series, but it shows that anything can actually be competitive if you can pedal a car.
Yeah, that 300ZX ended up being a lot of thirds and seconds, and everyone still. I know Franz listens a bit.
Yeah.
To this day, he's like, that car did more than his Evo did sometimes.
Yep. Like I said, if you can pedal a car, you're going to be competitive.
But I mean, firstly, where can we find information on the internet about all this? Like, we're talking about all this stuff on the internet, but
so we do have a website, speedeventseries.org, all one word, obviously. It's not as fluid as it should be at the moment. Again, like I said, we're quite late in taking things over, so we're kind of backpedaling and trying to just figure stuff out ourselves at the moment. We are more active on Facebook. We've got a Facebook page which is just Speed Event Series. I think, is it just Speed Event Series?
I can have a look.
And then our group, then we've got a private group as well, which anyone can send requests, and me and the other committee members will obviously have a quick look and see who you are and make sure you're not a spammer, and then we'll accept people. We don't block people and things like that unless you're a spammer. So yeah, it is just Speed Event Series.
yeah. So if we go to these websites or make the Facebook page, what's some of the good events coming up though? We're talking about the ones that we used to have in the past, like Busselton, but I've heard the rumour Albany is coming up.
Yeah, so our next event's down in Albany. It's the Classic Weekend. So we go down there on the June long weekend. On the Saturday, everyone goes down on the Friday, obviously. The Saturday, we have a hill climb out at the wind farm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone knows Albany well, but you've got the windmills up at the top above the prison, and there's an access road there, which is about 3.5k. We use the last 1,700 metres of that, which is a couple of fast flowing corners, a big long left-hand sweeper, and then again more fast flowing corners and a nice big dip at the end. So that's a really quick, fast hill climb.
Yep.
It's quite average for spectators because there's no viewing points, and you've got to walk through the bush to be able to get it. So it is a bit of a bummer for spectators, and our pits are at the top of the hill climb.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you're stuck up there all day. So if you get up there before we run, you're basically stuck up the top looking at cars, and then you can't see cars running from being stuck up the top as well. So, and then on the Sunday is when all the old fellas bash around the concrete barriers around the Albany town site.
Yep.
And that just becomes a big social thing for all us competitors. We just go down the pub and watch the old guys bounce around, and we all have a few beers and tell long stories.
I was going to say, you don't have any laughs, do you?
And then on the so that's the Sunday, and then the Monday public holiday, there's a industrial sprint stage around industrial estate called the Pendine Industrial Estate, and that's probably nearly 2k long, I think. And that's, you start in one of the trucking yards, you go out, chicane, hairpin, come back, chicane, and then through the back streets of the industrial estate.
Yep.
Nice.
I know that wind farm bit of road. I actually have been up there for work a few times. It is a magnificent bit of road. I love it. Yeah, it's magnificent.
Yeah, it's a great bit of road, and it's the one that we've really got to fight to keep. MA keep putting roadblocks up, and we keep beating the roadblocks. There was one put up again this year about more barriers, and we've got past that, and we're looking at doing things to help the club down there for future events to keep it, because I said with losing things like Busselton and stuff like that, we don't want to lose another marquee event, and especially Albany. I think as a series we really need 2 events down there to make it viable to go down. Mm-hmm. It's a long way to go. It's an expensive weekend. Mm-hmm. So if you've got 2 events, you can kind of justify going. But like I said, if there was one, I don't think we could actually justify going there.
Yeah, no.
So, and after that, you've got the Collie Hill Climb and Sprint coming up?
Yeah, so in July, we've got a Collie weekend. Same thing, we try and do 2 events down when we're down at Collie. We alternate between the short track, the long track, and there's a new hill climb which we ran for the first time last year down there. And that uses part of the short circuit. And then if you know the short circuit at all, after you come out of turn 4, where it joins the back straight, we've now put a hairpin to go back onto the new long circuit.
Okay.
So you'd actually then come down onto the long circuit backwards and then go up the hill towards those two double left-handers at the top of the hill.
Yep. Sorry. Yep.
So we've run that once, and in our regs we've just got it down as hill climb sprint weekend, and we just got to decide which way we want to do it, whether we want to do a long track and a hill climb, or do a short track and a hill climb, or whether we want to do a long track and a short track on the 2 different days.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
So we don't want to have it so it's just all long track or just all short track, because certain cars prefer short track, certain guys like long track. And again, for the series to work, you need to please everyone.
Yeah.
You can't just make it just for 2 or 3 guys.
No.
And for everyone listening there at home, we'll get more into how you get into it shortly, but Collie is a great circuit. I'd argue and say it's a brilliant learning circuit because it's short but technical.
It is. The long circuit is by far better than Barbagallo. I'll probably get shot down by the Barbagallo people for saying that.
I didn't say that.
Facilities obviously still quite agricultural out there, so it can't be a premier race circuit just due to the facilities.
Yeah.
But technicality wise, it has left and rights, uphill, downhill, which Barbagallo doesn't really have.
No.
Technically speaking, it is far better than Barbagallo. People can get upset. The people from the WA Sporting Car Club may get upset, but that's the reality. There's, from a technical point of view, I've been to Collie a few times now, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I think it's facilities. We all agree. I think there's room for improvement there, but we're talking about it. It's a grassroots venue, really.
Yeah.
Well, again, Collie came about in the very early days of the Speed Event series, and it was whoever the mining company was down there at the time. They had to rehabilitate the land. Didn't want to pay to rehabilitate the land, so they donated it to the council and said, we'll make you a racetrack. And the first times we were down at Collie, so if anyone knows the pits at Collie now, that used to be the main straight.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So we'd go through that pit garages at speed.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Didn't know that.
So that's how Collie started out.
Yeah.
And then obviously it progressed, and then the actual straight was built where you came the hairpin and then around the pits onto the short circuit.
Yeah.
And then obviously the long circuit came about 2 years ago now, I think.
Yeah.
But so that was
I didn't know that. He's racing through.
You used to have to drive through the. You had to had the gate shut when you were racing.
Yep.
Otherwise, people would drive across because that was where the car park was on the outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they built the tunnel.
They built the tunnel,
but the tunnel's barely big enough to fit a car and a trailer.
Yeah.
If you're very unlucky. Anything else is a bit of a whoa.
Yeah.
I know people that probably wouldn't go in that tunnel, honestly.
Yeah, I know. So our car trailers don't go through. They're just because it's just a bit of ag pipe, so it's a curve, so it's wide, but then obviously it gets smaller at the top. So anyone with a high car trailer, you can only cross between sessions and things like that because you just have to wait for Anna to go and open the gate and let you through.
Yeah.
And if you ever do get the chance to go down there and you want to have a look, like Collie is only 2 hours out of Perth. It's actually a good track to watch because you can go stand up on top of the burnout pad hill and you can
see 90% of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually used to love going in there when I can just to watch because you get to see a lot. And everyone's friendly down there. Like it is a bit of an agricultural track, but the guys that run the track are always super friendly. If there's enough people down there, they always put some food on or someone will bring some food out and you're only 10-15 minutes from Collie anyway.
Yeah, and that again, that's one of our things with Collie as well. We try to make it a big social thing, so we'll always on a Friday, Saturday night we'll have they've got a big haul pack tyre which they've got the rim, big fire pit going, we have a barbecue, everyone's got beers around the barbecue, so it's everyone stays at the track, so it's a big social thing, which is what we're trying to push with the series, to be a social thing as well, not just turn up, do your event, piss off back to Perth.
Yeah.
We want people to hang around, be friends with each other, and which is obviously everyone knows in motorsport everyone does get a bit of red mist and a lot of egos and things like that, so if we can try and push that out of the way by trying to get people to socialise with each other as well, it's a big thing to help.
Certainly, and they can all hug afterwards and have a beer or two.
Yeah, that's right. So
hey, we're going to take a short break here. Well, we'll be back with more from Phil Morley right after this. All right, episode 112 of the Talk and Power podcast. You can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and on 88.5 FM where the Valley comes alive.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks,
I
Todd.
didn't ask you yet. I was getting there.
That's where we're 3 segments in, and I hadn't dropped that.
Yeah, I was paying attention. Don't worry.
Big shout out to everyone on 88.5 FM.
Yeah, they're
And,
great. We've been actually. I've been hearing some more about 88.5 lately around the tracks, and people are like, "Oh, you're on there." On a Saturday morning, we are. Yep.
Saturday morning, 8:30 to 10.
Yep.
You can catch us, and you can also listen to Phil Morley as well on this episode. So
That's great.
it's great to have you here. Now tell us, I mean, we talked about the events that are coming up in Collie and the hill climb. Basically, from when I look at that, we have a mixture of track sprints and hill climbs. Previously, I don't see there, but previously you've done point to point as well.
Well, so we do.
Oh, sorry, yeah. You've already done a point to point.
So we've done
My
two point
apologies.
to point. We've done 2 point to points at the start of the year. That's just the way the WASC calendar worked for us. It didn't fit. Obviously, WASC were quite late in releasing their calendar for us to try and pick dates. They had a lot of things that conflicted with events we had already had booked. We actually got a few of our dates changed to try and pick up more Barbagallo dates. We didn't get a long circuit sprint this year, which kind of disappointing. We try to work with the club to get that, so hopefully we can work with the club to get some long circuit stuff next year, because everyone loves the long circuit Barbagallo too. So we've only got 3 at Barbagallo this year. So it's 2 point to points, and then we've got a Jacks Hill in October.
Yeah, okay. If you don't mind me asking, you might not be able to answer this question, but was there any particular reason as to why you couldn't get the long circuit?
Barbagallo just there was a lot of conflict between the previous administration of the series and Barbagallo. I think a lot of that's just hanging around still. We've gone back to them many times and told, look, we are all new people. We are trying to help. We are trying to work with you to get over those issues, and so it's a case of just trying to sit down with them as much as we can and try and get back on the same page and try and work with them. You can't. It's hard to do a series without having a Barbagallo long track.
Yeah. Must be difficult as well for them as sort of staffing or getting the volunteers to man a long circuit as well.
Well, I think that's one of the things they've tried to do this year. They've put a lot of their sprints in with race meetings, obviously because they've got the officials and all the rest of it. But if we turn up with 50 cars, you're not going to be able to run a sprint meeting, because a sprint meeting 50 cars takes a full day.
Yeah, okay.
And a race meeting takes a full day. So you're not going to be able to run a sprint meeting combined with a race meeting. And we've told them that. Hopefully they listen. But I think they've done that to try and minimise their costs on them running events. And that, like I said, I think that's the problem that we've run into. And they're doing a lot of night events, and again, because we've got open wheelers with no lights, we can't run night events, and so that's where we're at with Barbagallo at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Wanneroo is dark at night, especially over the back in the Colb or whatever you want to call it. It's
What's it now? It's Comms Corner.
oh, well, it's dark over there. That's just like, you don't want to go off there because you might not find your way home.
But I was out there for the Arise racing thing on Friday night, and that's, even with all the light towers and stuff, it's not right for an open car to be able to run up there at night. So
strap the torches to the front and hope for the best. So, but I mean, nothing else. I mean, and for those listening, the point to point, I mean, that was run back in the 90s, and it's something pretty cool to see when people come the wrong way into pit lane and stuff like that, and it's. You're not just using the track. You're using the pit bays. You're using the car park bit. You're using, and it's great to see, and it's again really technical.
The last event on 18th of April was a point to point, and that started on Jacks Hill. You went up Jacks Hill. You did 90% of Jacks Hill, and then you cut across from Jacks Hill and came out just before turn 6, so just before Comms or Colb or whatever you want to call it. And then you ran a bit of the circuit in the right direction, and then you came up to the old short circuit cut across. And you turned onto the short circuit the wrong way, came across the short circuit the wrong way, and then went down through the S's.
Oh, wow, okay.
And everyone commented on how much fun going the wrong way through the S's was.
I bet.
So it was just... And then, like I said, and then you take in behind the new pit complex, and they have just a little couple of witches' hats, chicanes and stuff set up on the pit complex where the drifters use.
Yep.
And then you come down, pit lane and then back onto the circuits. I think they get them to about 4 kilometres.
Yeah, okay.
So it's obviously it's the same kind of premise as what Ross does with the rally sprints at the Motorplex.
Yeah.
Using a lot of all the access roads and things like that. So.
Yeah.
No, so it's quite interesting to watch. And Jack's Hill, I mean, I don't know how many people actually realise there is a hill climb circuit over the back of Waterloo Raceway.
Not many people would know that, Todd.
No, they don't.
Every time I've spoken about it, people say, "What? Where?"
You drive past the entrance on the way to the Waterloo Raceway, you know, like.
Well, that's and originally was a soapbox track.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what it started out as, and then there was a couple of people around at Barbecue at the time who went, "Oh, we can make this into a hill climb." So they added a few. Again, they added a little bit more to it, and it's grown over the years. Again, it's quite technical. I think if MA have their way, I think we'll lose a lot of the open road style hill climbs. So like your wind farms, Mount Omnis and stuff. I think the way it goes with trees and barriers and Armco, just the liabilities there, I think they'll end up making those events non-existent, and then we'll need more permanent hill climbs like Jack's and like the one that Hannah's got down at Collie as well.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah. I was about to say, if we're playing at home, MA, Motorsport Australia, formerly known as CAMS. Yes, so they do a good job, but also there's a few people that
it's
cotton wool.
It's liabilities. Obviously, their insurers are telling them, and they're just pushing it on everyone else.
Yeah.
But if their insurers aren't comfortable, then they aren't comfortable. That's where it's at. And it's like anything in this world, isn't it? Insurance is just getting harder and harder to justify. So
yeah. Shout out to everyone at Motorsport Australia.
Oh no, that's like they do a bang up job. And
they do, and I have many dealings with them now with what my role in this, and they're all super helpful, super friendly. And it's just, I said it, they're being held to ransom by their insurers, and they're just pushing it on to everyone else. So that's where it is. That's where it is.
Yeah. No, fair enough. No, we get that, and we live in a real world as well, and we completely understand public liability and in those sorts, and just even public liability is out of control now. To be an organisation, you got to have public liability. Yeah. That's without even turning the wheel. So
try being a photographer.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, we're required to have public liability doing what we do here.
As I say, it costs me money just to take my camera to the track and watch a free event. Which,
and that's why you see like a lot of the main photographers now just don't do that many events, because again their insurance costs have just gone through the roof. So and if you look at that, they'll all, before an event, they'll put a post up on their Facebook page just saying, we need clients to pay now before we commit to the event, because if they don't get paying customers, then they're out of pocket for going to the event.
That's not a good outcome, is it? That's not good for anyone when we hear stuff like that. It's not good at all. I think we'll take a short break here, because when we get back, we want to talk about some of these the categories or the classes. And there's quite a few there, and I don't want to go in detail on each one, but I'm curious as to some of these, and what sort of car would fit in there. And I had a read before. There was a PDF document that was associated to that as well. I had a quick read before, but I'd love to touch base and chat more about that after the break. Okay, Talking Power Podcast, episode 112. We have Phil Morley in the studio, and we've also got co-host Todd Brinkworth. Unfortunately, Simon and Brendan couldn't make it tonight, so it's just the three of us here. But we're having a good old time here and a good old yak with Phil Morley about the WA Speed Event Series. Now, Phil, I looked through these categories here of cars, and I need you to pretty much go through. I mean, I have a fair understanding of most of them. Formula Libre, I guess you'd say, under 2 litre, and Formula Libre over 2 litre. Can you tell us a little bit about those two to start with?
So your Formula Libre it's recognised as Formula free. You can do basically anything goes. So that's where all your wings and slicks cars end up with the Habussor engines and all the rest of it. So that's any open car, single seat open car ends up there. So we've got So obviously you've got Dad's OMS, which is a supercharged Habussor. We've got my car, which is a turbocharged Habussor. There's another car which is a pill beam out of the UK. He's got the V8 Habussor, which the Radicals run. So that's a custom block, 2 Habussor heads. He's in that. And then there's guys running the Formula 1000s, which run a Barbagello, just so we don't have a Formula 1000 class, a sports car class, an open wheel class. Like we just group them as they're all Formula Libre, so it's Formula Outright. So we've got an outright sedan class, and then Formula Libre is, like I said, it's just a throwback word. Going back to the early years of the series, it just used to be called outright open cars. So that's how it was picked up.
But it is recognised by the FIA.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I thought so. It's Libre, I think, translates to free. I mean, so
yeah. Like I said, it's basically Formula Free.
Yeah.
So it's free set of rules.
Yeah.
As long as it complies to CAM's schedules A and B, I think it is.
I think you're right, actually.
Motorsports Australia schedules A and B, which is just it has to have 4 tyres, it has to have a seatbelt, it has to have suspension. That's pretty much it.
Yep. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it say it can be 4-wheel drive as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought I read that. I said that's pretty cool.
So there's a and again there's a kind of, my understanding of it had to be a open car, but there's cars over east which are logbooked as Formula Libre. There's a Datsun 260Z, which is a 4-wheel drive LS powered turbo thing. It's stupidly quick and it's awesome bit of gear, but somehow that's classed as Formula Libre. But I think that's just there because it doesn't comply to any other Motorsport Australia class.
Okay.
So it's when things don't comply to a certain set of class, they just get bumped into Formula Libre.
Let's just say, and I don't, but let's just say I had, but I don't, a Can-Am car. Where would that go into Formula Libre as well?
Well, yeah, so technically a Can-Am car would fit in sports cars open, over 2 litre.
Oh, sorry, yeah, okay,
but
of course. Yep.
For the spirit of the series, we're putting them in our Formula Libre. So we've got John Webb, he's running a Radical.
Yep.
Again, a Radical technically fits in sports cars open, but what we're choosing to see sports cars as is your Porsches, your MR2s, MX-5s, all that kind of stuff. That's what we're classing as sports cars. So the sports car class is traditionally for road-going sports cars, whereas in the essence of the rule, a Can-Am is a sports car, a West is a sports car, Radical's a sports car. So they could and technically should run there, but for the spirit of the series, we just bumped him in with the big guys.
Okay, righto. No, that's fair enough. The other one I'm interested in as well is a road car under 2,000 and over 2 litre. Tell us a bit about that, because I read the rules briefly on that as well. So correct me if I'm wrong, that's got to be licensed on road.
Basically, the road car is, what we're trying to do with that is if someone wants to buy a showroom stock car and do no modifications except a set of tyres, they go there. They don't have to go in and compete against the sports cars or the tarmac rally cars and things like that. So the essence of that is just your run-of-the-mill daily driver with no modifications, or to a certain extent very lightly modified.
Yeah, okay, righto.
That's what we're trying with that.
So something like Todd's Evo that he's got outside tonight, where would go into tarmac?
That would be tarmac. That would be tarmac rally cars 4-wheel drive.
4-wheel drive. Okay.
There you go. Now I know.
So, and our tarmac rules, the way we're doing that is very similar to the way Ross does it for his rally sprints. You've got dedicated tarmac cars, which are there, but if Troy Wilson or Jonesy turns up, they'll get bumped into the outright sedans. And we got 4 registrations for 4-wheel drives in that class. So we've now split the 4-wheel drives out of the outright sedans. So there's now an outright 4-wheel drive class as well.
Okay.
So if you've got a silly modified Evo with 700 horsepower, you will go into outright sedans 4-wheel drive.
Okay, all right. Because that was going to be my next question. What differentiates? So outright sedan, over and under 2 litre. So they are for sedan type vehicles that aren't tarmac vehicles.
Yeah, so anything that's overly modified.
Yep.
So I said anything with an engine conversion. So we've got an LS powered RX-7 and things like that in that class. But we've also got 3 of Dick Ward's old Series 5 sports sedans in that class as well.
Oh, okay, righto.
So that's the kind of scope of cars. But yeah, so the outright sedan is just anything that's too highly modified to fit in any of the other classes.
Okay. No, that's that's a pretty good overview. I mean, but what that allows for is quite a wide gamut of vehicles, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we've got there's a young guy with his daily driver. It's a little 1988, 89 323 laser sedan. But he's gone to town. He's built a motor. He's put a big turbo on it, and because of that, he's been bumped outright. But it gives him somewhere to play.
Yeah. The one thing I read as well before was the mandate on roll cages. It's not mandatory to have a cage in road cars. Did I read that right?
It's not mandated in any class. It's just recommended. Again, so it's basically up to yourselves, really.
Yeah. So what you achieve by doing that is opening up. What I'm trying to say, I guess, or what I'm trying to say here in this situation is you're allowing a wide gamut of people to participate, and if it's not really for them, they haven't made a huge investment into the sport. Because Simon and I talk about it all the time, and we sometimes differ on opinion, but in drag racing, the moment you go under 1050, you got to cage it.
Yeah.
Making that investment, even cutting up the car to a certain extent, it's not a huge, but it can be a costly exercise.
Yeah, I've got a car at my place at the moment. A mate built it, and he's got nowhere to store it. But he's saying he built it for tarmac rallies. Put a cage. It was a Peugeot 206. It was a beautiful car before he started with it. And now he's like, I'm regretting putting a cage in because now I can't drive it. He goes, I really enjoyed driving it. He goes, but I wanted to do a Targa. And then, so he built the car with the cage, and now he's got a caged car, and his life's got in the way, and now he can't do a Targa. So he's like, I've got this car, which I love, I can't drive. So that's where you are. Once you've caged a car, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side of that argument is it locks the guy into participating as well. But I think it opens the door for more competitors and to try is probably the most important thing, isn't it?
If we weren't, what's the word? In our own responsibilities, we've got to draw a line somewhere. So if you're going to turn up with a 700 horsepower GTR and do sub 60s at Barbagallo like there are a few, you'll probably get a tap on the shoulder and say you should probably at least put a half a cage in that.
Yeah.
Just because obviously we don't want to see any of them people have an accident. But yeah, we don't want to see you turn up in your daily driver, cage stripped, seats, and then you go around doing 75-second Barbagallo laps. You're perfectly welcome to, and we're not going to stop you doing it. But if that's where you want to start, you don't have to have a fully built car to compete.
Yeah. No, that's what I like about your series, and I mean, I've looked at it, and I thought, well, this is quite this is what we're trying to get to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It is a grassroots.
Yeah. It's encouraging just to try and get people involved in motorsport, and that's what our role is from Motorsports Australia, is just encourage. Don't turn anyone back. Sit down with them, guide them through everything you need to, and that's where you go. So this year, I think we ended up with 10 first-time registered competitors out of our 75 registered. So 10 of them are first-timers, never done the series before. Yep. And hopefully we can retain them all. They all seem to be enjoying it. So
that's pretty exciting, isn't it? I mean, to have 10 new competitors in the sport that have never done it before. And hopefully, they go home, each one of those goes home and tells another 10 people, and suddenly you get this exponential growth in...
and again, that's why we try to do the social stuff as well. So we include the new guys in the social thing, and then they get to meet the other drivers that have been around. And because I don't know how most people feel, but if you were a first-timer and, like I said, in a 75-second car, would you be happy or would you be confident enough to go and speak to one of the open-wheeler drivers doing 55s? Whereas you take that race car out, if you've got a social environment around a barbecue, they don't know what car you drive. They're happy to come and chat to you, and then they get to know you, and then they realise who you are. They're happy to bounce off you then.
Yeah.
But just the actual intimidation of coming up to someone
Yeah.
in a full race suit, helmet, harns, all the rest of it, when you're in your road car, is probably a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was going to say that, well, I mean, we talk about all the classes and where we fit. How do I know how I do it, but how does the guy off the street, besides going on the website, how does he get started? Like,
Started in motorsport? Or?
yeah, well, start in Speed Event Series. Like, jump on the website, try and find a decent car, come along, have a chat.
Well, obviously, your first step is usually join a car club.
Yeah.
So you find a car club with common interests, whether you join the MX5 club, whether you join whatever car club your car belongs to, as long as they're MA affiliated. So you can get your CAMS license through. Actually, you need your CAMS license. So as long as you've got a club membership and a CAMS license, you can do any event pretty much in WA anyway. And then once you've got that, you can join our series by going on the website. There's a registration form on our website. It's $99 for the year. That gets you a T-shirt, your door stickers, which you have to keep for the whole year. They're quality stickers, so they can actually stay on the car, or if you wanted, you could put them on other backing, magnetic backing, and put them on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So they last well over a year anyway. Gets you registered for series points, outright points, the social functions, the presentation, your trophies. That's what your $99 gets you.
$99 gets you all of that.
Yeah.
It's too cheap, Morley. $99.
Yeah, so that's, again, we want to keep it at a lower cost point to get people involved.
Yeah, spend more on Netflix.
Yeah. No, I'm actually thinking, I'm looking at the calendar in front of us, or some of it, and I'm like, I think I might be doing some events later this year with the Evo.
So I think we've got 12 or 13 events this year, and the way we wrote the regs this year was you can actually drop your lowest scoring events, and that includes non-events you don't turn up. So if you were to join for the next event in Albany, that's round 5. So technically you're only 2 rounds behind anyone else.
Yeah.
And if you go through our points, obviously you can't get into you can't get into our points unless you can off the website anyway. But there's very few people who've already done all 4 events anyway. So you can join tomorrow, and you can actually still be competitive in your class if you do the rest of the events for the season.
Oh, that's magnificent. That is $99. I can't believe it. That is a bargain.
Yeah, it is. So, and I mean, what I'm going to try and do with Phil in the near future, and with Brendan, who wasn't here tonight, unfortunately, is probably use my car as an example, but show people on the good old YouTube, and also we'll do a bit of a podcast about it, what you need to get the car out there, though. Because as I've learnt the hard way, it's not just having the car, you probably need a fire extinguisher as a good start.
So, yeah, just, again, it's all on your sub-rigs what you need, and it's usually just your minimum is the extinguisher, your battery triangle, so you need a blue 150 mil per side triangle to locate your battery, and you need a red arrow to tow points. That is the bare minimum you need, and then you just progress from there.
That's
obviously helmet, long sleeves, long pants.
Yeah,
it has to be cotton. But you don't need gloves, you don't need race boots.
No.
You don't need harns, all the rest of it. At certain points, obviously, the harns rules kick in, the race suit rules kick in.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you progress through motorsport, that happens, no matter what motorsport anyway. But yeah, road car class with jeans and a jumper, perfectly fine.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I was actually give a bit of a plug there. Ivan, who helps out a lot
at Go Gear.
At Go Gear, he would be the person to go see and politely ask for any assistance. He will murder me for saying that, but politely ask, and he's great. He will help you and tell you where you should put your fire extinguisher. Can sell you a helmet. They have the sticker packs on the shelf that has your blue triangle, has your tow point stickers. They sell tow points to mount in your vehicle. Like, kind of your one-stop shop. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what Dick and Ivan are there for.
Yeah.
they have said they will come on as series sponsors for us. I've just been very lazy with the paperwork to get that sorted out. But yeah, they've been great for the series. Dick's been a series supporter, obviously, since the very early days.
They tune into the podcast as well, I must say.
Yeah,
They do.
And actually, going back, talk about Dick Waters. We should actually have to chat to Dick one day, because some of the cars Dick Waters had over the years would blow your mind to pieces.
Yep.
It'll be we should do
Yeah,
that.
and his history, his history through the Malaysian sports sedans and stuff like that. It's just amazing what he's done over his lifetime.
Actually, going to Go Gear, if you get the chances, you look at the photos on the wall. Let's just put it that way, and you will actually go, hang on, that was someone that is living in Perth, has done all this stuff and owned all these vehicles. It's quite...
Yeah, it is amazing.
And
it's pretty cool.
And even the stuff he's built, so his sports sedans, his Series 4-5 RX-7 sports sedans, were world renowned.
Yeah.
And there's, like I said, there's now 3 of them registered for the series. And they're obviously all cars that have been around the world and come back, and people have rebuilt them. And I know Dick's just about finished one rebuild on one of his.
Yeah.
Another car's just come back from New Zealand. And then there's the 20B car and there's a 13B car as well.
Right,
so.
okay. There you go. Scarborough Road, Aussie Park.
That's right.
Near the Green Street intersection.
That's
It's
correct.
where the roads meet all at
it's
once
that horrible
cause-
intersection where there's 15 roads.
That needs to be fixed urgently.
Yeah.
If anyone from Main Roads or the City Sterling's listening.
Don't go there with your work trailer loaded with materials and expect to get out at peak hour,
No,
as I've found out.
But it's a great, look, great business, and they're right there. You can't miss them there on Scarborough Beach Road, Osborne Park. We're going to have to take a short break here, but we'll be back with more from Phil Morley right after this. Episode 112 of the Talk and Power podcast on 88.5 FM and iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever, and YouTube as well. I always forget to plug YouTube. We're on YouTube.
That's right. Yeah, some stuff on YouTube. And there's going to be a lot more. As I said, there's going to be a lot more. Some more of my Evo with Brendan's help. Of course, you can check out Brendan's stuff, because race car.
Lots coming out from Brendan.
Lots coming out, and again, I keep plugging every episode. We're getting there. Him and I are up to a lot more very shortly.
Okay.
So there'll be a lot more under the Talk and Power banner and on the Big Cause Race Car banner. Some will be about the Speed Event Series, because I'm going to get out there and get my bum back into a seat and see how the Evo goes. So I'm not sure about the Albany weekend. That's to be confirmed, but definitely the July weekend looks good for me, and definitely that quali.
I might try and get to that as well with you, Todd. The July weekend. I'd like to get out there. And Collie's not so. Collie, as we said before, not to repeat ourselves over and over again, but it's not that far.
It's
from
2
Perth.
hours. I think Anna if you don't want to stay in town, I think Anna charges $10 a night for camping. There's full facilities, there's toilets, there's showers, there's a bunk room, and like I said, everyone's there, everyone's social, everyone's friendly, barbecues and.
Yeah, part of the experience of Collie, just to add, I stayed there for I think a Speed Event Series once or twice, and a couple of All Fours days back in the day. It's actually part of an experience staying at the track, especially when it's cold, because Collie gets cold. Okay, let's just Collie July. If you're going to go, even spectate, take 14 jumpers and 3 umbrellas. You're going to need it. All right.
That's it.
I love Collie.
It's a magnificent part of the world. I love Collie.
Yeah, but and just a plug for the Collie town, like the amount of stuff they got going on now with all those the mural walk and the dam wall, and again that'd be an event that we'd love to have back. So we used to use Wellington Dam. We used to start on the dam wall.
That's right.
And run off the dam wall up to the car park. It was a brilliant hill climb. Again, that just got lost in politics and cams and Water Corp, so what the series has lost is phenomenal over the last couple of years. Like Meelup Beach hill climb, that was the same. So Meelup Beach in Dunsborough, we used to start in the car park there in whale season, so there'd be whales in the bay, and you'd run up out of there up to the top of the Meelup Beach hill, and things like that. But,
and what was the one south? I'll say buoyant up, but not buoyant up.
Keysbrook?
Yes, thank you, Keysbrook. I know,
So-
I'm reminiscing again, sorry, but...
So Keysbrook was another one, and that was super fast. And that was, so just before Pinjarra,
yeah.
on the left-hand side, before the aluminium refinery there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Used to turn left, and that one was lost because cars backfiring scared the farmers' cows.
Yeah.
The farmer protested to the council about his cows being scared because of cars with anti-lag and all the rest of it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't take a lot to lose an event, as we noticed with the airport. But
Yeah.
that was lost because the same thing, noise complaints and anti-lag and screamer pipes and things like that. So
Yeah.
you do have to be kind of respectful in what you do with your cars as well.
Yeah, that's right.
In proper motorsport environments, obviously, people do whatever they want when they drive around the streets and drive around the hills at night, which I hear very regularly. But yeah, once you turn up to events, there are things where you're required to meet noise regulations and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So
Moving forward, then, I guess the question begs, like, have we? It sounds to me, and Ross Tapper, David Smith do a magnificent job getting Targa in WA across the line. But are we seeing a phasing out then of the use of on-road tarmac events?
yeah, sadly, I think it will happen in the next couple of years. Sadly, we are. Smithy, Ross and myself are talking to Habussor at the moment. They're quite active in trying to get something going as well. Whether it comes off, not 100% sure yet, but we're in very early stages of working with them because they want to do something similar to like what Bunbury does down there. So
Yep. So I guess then that goes back to the government and local, state and federal governments, all three tiers, in pushing them in incentivising or building of smaller community racetracks instead.
yeah.
So, we're seeing what's happening in Albany. That's obviously a great thing.
Yeah, that's very, very close to getting final kick-offs. I heard recently they had to do another environmental study because of one complaint.
Yep.
But it had pretty much passed everything so far, and then some guy objected and it had to go back and get done again by someone else. But they're very, very confident of getting that signed off. I did read recently that Keysbrook had met all their environmental requirements too. So hopefully we might start hearing some more from those guys at Keysbrook in the next couple of years about that event, about that circuit out there.
Yeah. So we're not talking like world facility, world status sort of facilities. We're talking about grassroots sort of motorsport facilities
things like the drive training centre at the airport. That's all it needs to be. It's a big enough circuit to get people involved. It's technical enough to have some fun. You've got multiple layouts you can run. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be. They said it doesn't need to have grandstands and all the rest of the crap that people are proposing, because that just makes them unobtainable to get funding.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few of them over east. You've got Luddenham Raceway. You've got Heathcote Park. I've got one. There's a couple in Queensland as well, popping up as well, which they've got the backing of the local shires. They're privately funded, but the shires are willing to tick it off because the shires are seeing that it's going to bring people to their regions. Yeah.
That's the other thing, isn't it? It's about that's what it's all about, is bringing people to the regions as well.
That's right.
And that's been the popularity, I think, of Targa West as well, is like bringing people to Bindoon, to 2J is what I mean. 2J. Maryville Downs, all those places as well. But yeah, I agree with you, Phil. I think we're seeing a push for events to be at sanctioned racetracks.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this push away from public roads.
And again, it's just got to be insurances doing it.
Yeah.
It's just too hard to insure an event.
Yeah.
People don't want to see box curbs. They don't want to see light poles. They don't want to see any of that kind of stuff in an event because it's just one more thing someone can hit.
Yep. No, certainly.
In the meantime, go check out the Speed Event Series WA Facebook page.
Yep.
Go check out the Speed Event Series website.
speedeventseries.org.
Yep. Have a look at the calendar coming up. If you think you want to come have a go, do it now.
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're more active on Facebook than we are on the website, which is our own doing. We do need to concentrate more on the website as well.
Yeah.
But flick any of us a message. There's 4 of us who are admins on there, and we'll all get back to you as soon as we can. But throw any questions at us. We're happy to help you. Happy to help you get in and get started.
Yeah, and bring out what you've got, and I mean, and the main thing, of course, is be safe. I think I say that all the time when I talk about motorsport. Be safe. I've learnt this the hard way. Be safe. Not a big accident, but enough that I didn't test something properly, and it cost me a couple $100 to fix.
And there's plenty of guys who are competitors who are also MA scrutineers. So if you do have a question, someone's always there, or we can direct you in the way of a scrutineer to say, what do I need to do? Who do I need to speak to?
That's an important question I forgot to ask, actually. So, yeah, in terms of... So, some of your competitors are actually MA scrutineers at Motorsport Australia. That's awesome. That's, I mean, the moment... So, look, I mean, if anyone is listening out there, I mean, what better series to get involved in where you have Motorsport Australia sanctioned officials that can scrutiny your vehicle as well? I mean, they're certainly going to tell you what's right and what's not, you know. And so that's a huge. I didn't. That was one of the questions I've been meaning to ask, and it slipped my mind. So, the other one I've been meaning to ask, and it won't slip my mind, sponsors as well. Tell us.
We actually, like I said, this year because we took over so late, we didn't get any sponsors sorted out. We are putting a sponsorship package together for next year, so we're running sponsorless this year. I do have a commitment from a couple of guys who have said they are willing to sponsor us. I just don't feel right going to them mid-season saying, can I have X amount of dollars? Mm-hmm. And we've already had our shirts. We're getting our shirts printed now. So with our sponsorships for next year, we're looking at having all their logos on the door stickers, all their logos on the shirts, having stuff made up for events where their logos are going to be at, put their logos on the website. But like I said, we got in too late to do that for this year.
Yep.
But so I'm putting together a package at the moment where I'm going to approach people and say, this is what you'll get for your sponsorship dollars if you jump on board, and hopefully can negotiate some discounts for registered competitors at those businesses as well.
No, that's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That is good. All right. Well, Phil, we'll let you get on with the day, and we really appreciate you coming in here to the podcast. It's great to have you here. It's great to meet you, and look, I wish you all the best with the speed event series, and all the best. Thanks for coming in.
Great, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me plug the series. It's been a lot of hard work to get where we are, and hopefully we're over the hump and can make it grow from this year and next year forwards.
No worries.
Yeah, no, it's been great having you on, Phil, and I said I'll try and be competing or even down at some more events and giving it the plug and getting some photos out for you. And
great.
I know people like Barnesy and that will be doing the same.
So. Yeah, so we our main guys at the moment, Barnesy doesn't get to a lot of events. He mainly does the Barbagallo stuff just due to family commitments. But we've got Graham J. Howe from Sports Picks and always forget his name, but Badger Photography.
Yeah. So shout out to those guys.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they're the main guys, and they post files from every event and jump on board. And I think Graham's only about $10 a photo, so you get great quality images for dirt cheap.
Those guys, that's a magnificent job of photographers. What they do, like some of those guys sit on a corner, all day, and
rain, hail, shine.
Massive
credit to them, and massive credit to any official that does it.
That's not just the photographers.
Motorsport doesn't happen without officials, and the guys that the flagging and that we can't do without them. Those guys deserve all the credit.
Yeah, no, certainly. Okay, Phil, thanks for coming on, and thanks for joining us here on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.